Okay, so hey guys, my name is Quinston, and in this video I just wanted to talk about the script that I wrote to download all the media from a WordPress website. Now why am I doing this? Because I wanted to write a script because I was working on a website and I wanted to write a script to download all the images from a website. So I thought, hey, from a WordPress website. So I thought, hey, why not just write a script to do that in Python, which is my favorite language, by the way. So first of all, before we get into this, I just want to talk about two things. This script purely exists for educational reasons. Do not try this on an existing website. This tutorial includes web scraping using Beautiful Soap. So web scraping, you need to know the terms and conditions of the website before you do any of that. And I am not liable for any misuse of this script. It's all on you if you use the script to do any nefarious tasks. I will not be responsible for your usage of this script on any website. So the first thing is, let's talk about what we're going to use. So these are the requirements that we need for this tutorial or for this script to run. You have the request module, which helps you send, get, and post requests. You have Beautiful Soap, which helps you parse HTML and treat HTML like, you can parse it, get values from the HTML. Like if you want values of the body tag, HTML text of the body tag, or HTML text of a class or ID, whatever. I mean, this is basically your jQuery in Python. Maybe not jQuery, but you know what I mean. It's basically used to parse HTML. Then you have your import OS. I like to keep it a little bit simpler. Just keep everything that is, I like it like this. Makes a lot of sense. Import OS time. We will use the time library to sleep, to make the process sleep for a while, because you don't want to send multiple requests in like completely destroying the server. You want to send them slowly one after the other. So I'm gonna make the program sleep between requests. Yeah, because it's a good thing to do. I mean, you don't want to destroy the server you're pulling data from. It's a good thing, or else you'll destroy your buffer or whatever. I don't know what happens after that. So yeah, the first thing is we define this. So how does this work basically? So the idea is that you have a WordPress website which has WP content uploads. So you basically get something like this where you can go in and it gives you like images and stuff, right? So it just gives you images, and then you can go in and get the images. So what we're going to do is we are going to get this over here, get this particular URL, put it in our requests, and basically get the HTML for that. And then we're going to detect where these links are and then click on them and traverse those links using Beautiful Soap, and then again call requests on them. It's like a recursive function, and at the end of the tunnel you have these images which you come up to. So like this, for example, these are the images that you come up to. So yeah, that's basically what we are going to do. So let's just get into the script and see how it works. Obviously this the link to this script is in the description, and you can use it to do whatever. I don't think this works on the cloud WordPress site. I tested on it. It doesn't work simply because it doesn't give you access to this particular this particular static folder which lists all the files in it. But I mean, any other WordPress site, I'm sure it will work. I haven't tested it on videos or any other type of content, but I'm sure it will work because I haven't done anything image specific, but I've tested it only on images. But I'm sure it'll work on videos and PDF files and any other kind of file you have in your WordPress media library. Cool. So let's get into the so if you want to use the script directly without messing with anything over here, you can just change your website URL. Even if it's localhost, you can put it localhost over here, HTTP localhost or something like that, localhost 8000, and it would just work. So yeah, so this is the time between requests. I don't know why it's like this. Time between requests underscore. I'm getting a phone call. Wait a second. And this is basically the time between download requests. So the time between download requests is as I said, you don't want to destroy the server of the website that you are pulling data from. So we are going to wait for 1 second between every request. It's just good practice when you're scraping a website. And then you have your output directory where you will basically output all the uploaded documents or content that you're gonna play with. So to run this once and for all, just to show you that it actually works, I can just do I don't know, website. You can just go to whatever website, doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is this works. So also there is this ignore sizes regex for particularly the reason behind this is that when you go to an image, WordPress automatically resizes the images, right? So, but you don't want these resized images, you want the original image. So what we do in that case is ignore all the files that contain this pattern in it. So this dot pattern that you see over here, one more time, this dot pattern that you see over here, this is the pattern that is detected by the regex. See dash. So this is the first dash, then you have the number of digits plus. So you have more than one or more than one digits. Then you have the X, which is your X over here. And then you have digits plus, which is more than one. And then you have your dot. And then you have your extension. So if this pattern is detected, it means that you don't want to ignore, you don't want to, use, download this particular file because it is not representative of the original file that you uploaded. That's pretty much it. So let's just go through this script one by one. So you might be wondering where the script runs from, where the controller function is called, and that is over here. You basically call this function called traverse URL recursive. In this, you pass in the location, the URL of the WP content / uploads URL with the website URL. And we use a URL, libparse.url join. We can also use something like os.path.name, join. But the problem with os.path.join is that it doesn't work very well with URLs that go out to the internet. It works very well with the URLs that you are generating for local manipulation of files, like on your file system. But if you want to join URLs together, it makes a lot of sense to use URL libparse URL join. Also, on a side note, I'm using Python 3 if you are 3.7 if you were wondering about that. So let's just go so this is obviously a recursive function. It has recursive in its name. So if I just go to this function, it takes a couple of, it also takes an argument of time between download requests, so that you have that control, so that you can basically control from the function call how much time to wait between requests. So you click on this, and this is the function over here, def traverse URL recursive, and then you have a URL sleep time. So the first thing is, if you find, this is our regex. If you find a regex that supports or is not equal to null when the URL is searched for this pattern, then you say return, because this is because what happens is when this is found, I don't want it to go any further. I know that this is not a file that I would want, and yeah, that is the reason I would return. Now the thing is, you can if you have files that are originally uploaded that actually are supposed to have this particular pattern, then what you might have to do is change this a little bit over here. But for the most part, if you have not done any image manipulation or added that particular extension, then it doesn't really matter. You can just run the script as it is, but take care that you don't have original images with that extension. That's the only caveat to this script at this moment, I guess. Next is, what you do is you try to, so we can use requests to basically send requests to the internet, and so I'm using request.head URL. So what I'm doing over here is the URL was passed. The URL is basically of WP content / uploads, and what's happening is uploads is basically being sent. This is the uploads URL, so it's basically retrieving the head of that URL, and it's trying to get it, and if it doesn't get it, it basically says print return the URL could not be reached, obviously, because if it's not reached, then what's the point? Just return everything and stop execution of this function. Now, if R does contain something, and R the value of R does contain something, then you basically check for r.headers content type. Now, if content type contains HTML, it means it is an HTML file and not any other file, not an image file, obviously, not a PDF, obviously. So if it's an HTML file, it means it can be parsed. So what you do is you say str and then you say content type contains HTML, and if it's true, it means it's an HTML file, and then you do the actual get URL. The reason we are doing the headers is because I don't want to get the entire image initially. I want to get the head first, so that the header is not very big. The header is very small, so the request can be completed very quickly. So, and depending on the content type of the header itself, we can know that if it's an image, an HTML file, a text file, whatever, we can basically recognize what kind of file it is before we run the actual get command. So once I know that it's an HTML file, I can run the get command. You will realize why we don't get images initially once you figure that out, because obviously if you run the get command on an image you don't need, you're basically downloading bandwidth that you don't need to download, right? So if this was the image, you can directly know without even getting it or getting the header, exactly what kind of image you need. Obviously if this was somewhere else it would work. Here we just ignore it. Anyway, the point is, once you get the URL, now r.html contains the HTML, and then you basically parse that text. So using Beautiful Soap, which is a parsing library, as we said, using the HTML parser, you put in r.text because that's what you got from the get request, and this is HTML. So you parse that HTML using Beautiful Soap and put all of that parsing information into this HTML underscore parsed Beautiful Soap object. So now what you need to do is that's what you got right now, right? And this is the HTML that you got. So if you do a right click inspect element, you will find that there's an A tag, right? So what I'm doing over here now is basically getting all the links, and I'm finding all of the A tags. So I'm going through all of the A tags and figuring out if the text inside the A tags is name, last modified, size, description, parent direct. The reason I'm doing this is because these are also A tags, but I don't want them to affect in any way, shape, or form that I want only these. I don't want this to be the links I traverse, because if I traverse the parent directory, I'll go in a backwards loop. If I traverse name, I don't know, it's just weird that I would do this, and I don't want to do that because it'll be a recursive, it'll be an infinite loop if I do that. So basically we're going to ignore all of these. That's what I'm doing over here. If links.getText is not equal to name, not equal to last modified, not equal to this, not equal to this, not equal to this, then you sleep for time t, and then you traverse the URL lib.join URLs link.href. So here we're getting the href attribute and combining with our existing URL. So if our existing URL was website URL content uploads, then the new URL will be output directory. Oh, wait, where is it? Sorry. Yeah, URL parse, URL join, URL, and then links href. That's pretty much what it will be. So in this case, it will be 08, I think. Yeah, or whatever. Let's refresh this. I don't want this part over here. I'll just eliminate this. So yeah, this is a 2018. 2018 is what it will be, because if you click on this, right click and inspect element, you'll see that it's a href attribute contains 2018, which is available to you as an array, dictionary reference in the links that you are going through one by one. Pretty epic, right? Yeah. So then you basically recursively call this again, and then you, as you understand it, just go recursively. Now what happens if the content does not contain HTML? Okay, content type does not contain HTML. It means that it's an image or something else. It's clearly not an HTML file that you can traverse and parse. So in that case, you basically try to save that image. That's all you do. You basically try to save that image in the location that was there. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my output directory and I'm going to split my actual URL from W content. So if I split my actual URL from W content, what's going to happen is I'm going to get the uploads, and then whatever that follows, you know, whatever it follows is what I'm going to get. So basically if I split it from here, this is what I get. So I want my output directory to contain all the files in the same order that they were in the actual particular system in the website. So in the same month and type and folder. So that's what I'm doing. So file path os.path.join. You're joining the output directory with your URL split, and that is the first one. That is the second part of this array split. And then if not, os.path exists. So if this os.path dir name is basically a function that extracts the directory name from your file path. So if you have something like I don't know, this, if it has .jpg at the end, then it basically will give you the directory path instead of this over here. So that's one thing. Then you have os make dirs, which gives you this, and then a directory. So basically if this path does not exist, then you try to make the folder, and if you can't, you just print that it cannot be created. Next, so once this happens, you basically try a bunch of stuff. You try, and then you try again order requests. You basically get the image file that you want, and then you open the file, and then you write the content to that file, and then you basically print out that file downloaded file path. Simple. So basically open the file up that you want. So file path will give you that file path, and WB is your write reference preference, and .write, simple function, and then r.content. Basically write all of the content that you got with your request inside that file, and then you're done. You basically say file downloaded, file path. Except if this causes an error, basically this causes an error, there was an error opening the file. And that's basically it. That's literally how this particular thing works. It does include parsing of the HTML and website and beautiful soap and all these things. It was a fun thing to do. You can find the code on my GitHub, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the channel if you like this content, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.